It is day 2 of the Caribbean Media Summit, looking at AI, media, and journalism. Today's presenters look at regulatory frameworks surrounding the subject matter and what journalists and media practitioners need to know about this emerging phenomenon. They also dealt with ethical concerns with the use of AI. Let's get into some of the highlights.
I think that the Caribbean has been left out of the AI discussion, and it's something that the board of directors and myself we talked about. The Caribbean I think is at risk a little bit because we need to be very much on top of the issues to not be left behind. So this media conference and Caribbean Media Summit is really expected to bring everybody on the same page. So all of the media practitioners, we also have regulators here, media managers and owners, so everybody who's involved in this space, including some creatives, so that we could really start to better understand what is happening, what the opportunities and what the threats can be, and how we address them collectively as a region.
Artificial intelligence in this space is secure. We need to understand that what has happened and discovered is a rapid evolution and something that is very controlled. That is, technology providing greater efficiencies in what we do, how we do what we do, and we live what we do.
Always remember what is journalism. And I have always argued that journalism is a valuable public service, often referred to as the fourth pillar of democracy.
We've seen in our society where there's a lot of misinformation, fake news being put out there by various actors, most of them anonymous, and sometimes put out there to muddy the waters when there's a legitimate story being pursued by journalists for whatever whoever is doing it their agenda. So we have to be very careful. Traditional journalists need to stick to their core principles, which is to ensure that they're accurate, they're fact checked, that they double check their sources, they make sure that everything in their story, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and that they're also objective, fair, and accurate. Those are once you, I think, adhere to those core principles, then we will be okay.
I think that there is a need for stronger efforts to promote awareness of what artificial intelligence is all about, how it can be used positively, how we can address shortcomings and the pitfalls that accompany AI, both from the standpoint of media practitioners and as societies generally. I'm a strong advocate of digital media and information literacy, which is an effort to ensure that the media audiences are better acquainted with all of these things that are now influencing public opinion on information use.
The Press Association in Jamaica, our core mandate is press freedom, freedom of the press in Jamaica. And so we will have to look at AI in terms of how it can be a threat to press freedom, and conversely how we can use it to enhance press freedom in a very broad that's going to be my response to it.
Our world is changing rapidly. Changes are constant with technology, and one of the challenges we face is that many industries are slow to respond. Is this your finding?
Yeah, it's been my finding pretty much for 30, 40 years of journalism. Databases came along, we were slow to adapt to that, we were slow to adapt to social media, but we eventually catch up.
Last year we did look at AI at our forum during the 2022 Journalism Week, which was held in January, where we did look at AI and how it would affect our impact journalism. And we had a panel, and that was, because we had just started hearing about GTP and so on, and we had recognized from as early as the start of last year that this is something that would impact journalism.
There's a host of agencies, official and CSO type organizations that have a concern about what the new technology is bringing in the world of information. And I think that the MIC plays a sort of consolidating role in bringing these interests together. Now, it will not be that everybody would agree on the way forward or that we would all subscribe to the same values. I, for example, am a strong advocate for freedom of expression, and you would have heard me during the session speak about the need for us to regulate less and to ensure that human behavior is guided more and more by human values and standards, as opposed to some law or regulation directing you how to behave.
What other role does the MIC serve in the Caribbean journal?
The MIC was really started to help journalists understand and build their capacity for investigative reporting. That is really why we were started. And it came out of the discussion in 2012 that my colleague Wesley Gibbons and I had when we hosted in Trinidad the International Press Institute's World Conference, their World Summit Conference. And it was a fantastic opportunity. And we realized that, as working journalists, we can't take a year off, right? Who's gonna pay the bills for a year? So we said, investigative journalism is something that is needed. And the world started to change because we were facing the digital transition at that time. And we wanted to do something.
We also have the issues of copyright, because I think people have this idea that AI is generating this information out of nothing, and clearly that's not what's happening. It's trawling the web, it's pulling from stories, it's pulling stories written by journalists, written by media houses to generate this information. So how are people getting paid?
We don't have to see it as a threat, but as a tool.
Based on your extensive background knowledge with AI, what are some of the guardrails or the parameters that you think can be added in the process of monitoring this new phenomenon?
I think there's one big thing that we've had with databases over the years, which is that the information has to be verified and checked before you publish it. There are some people that found AI was magic when it came along. This new technology is considered magic by some people, and we produce some major mistakes.
The question is, will AI make the journalists smarter or dumb? How journalists take advantage of artificial intelligence will be anchored in how we perceive this evolving tool.
Sometimes when we talk about regulation, a lot of people say, okay, government going to control, but no, it's not just necessarily that, but different companies, different groups, different variations of regulation and how they govern themselves in accordance.
Absolutely. I'm a strong subscriber of this notion of self-regulation, media self-regulation. And there are models that exist elsewhere in the world that we can look at in terms of how we formalize this media self-regulation. So it's not open territory, it's not Wild West, it's not us running wild and doing anything. That there are guidelines and there are methodologies we can employ to ensure that people are in compliance with those guidelines, but without the arm of the law involved, without punitive sanctions that can have the impact of silencing people who need to have their voices.
And that matter of regulation. So is the MIC just a support body, or do they serve as a regulatory agent for media?
We are not a regulator, but we make recommendations. And we do that through the 22 countries in the Pan-Caribbean region that we serve, and working with our partners like Association of Caribbean Media Workers, all of the other media and press associations. And of course, we are very closely aligned to some of the regulators as colleagues, because we have a professional understanding that we will to bring a perspective to all of the discussions that we're facing. So for instance, this Caribbean Media Summit, one of our supporters is the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica. And we thankful for their help because they see our input into the process as valuable.